Alright guys, what's up? I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a little tour of what the project is going to be about. These are your instructions. I'm going to go over them with you. So step one, the first thing we're going to do, just before this actually, you'll get to choose your own partners. The only catch is that I get to pick the roles once you choose those partners. Groups will be in about maybe 3 to 4 per group, and then we'll get moving from there. So after we've done that stuff, the preliminary stuff, then we're going to go to step one, and that's choose your first and second favorite themes for your Civil War project. The themes are broken down into, I think, 6 categories. You've got the medical, the Union versus the Confederacy. Then you've got Tales of Lincoln. Then you've got life at home, battle strategies, weapons theme, and for all you techies out there, we got a theme for you called the technology theme. Very original. Okay, so breaking these down real quick, I have these subtopics right down here that you can see on my screen, and those are kind of more specific topics that you can do. Last year I had some issues with the kids not knowing exactly where to go with it, and so I kind of gave you a bunch of examples down here. So the medical theme in summary is pretty much the people that are interested in, like Clara Barton, who created the American Red Cross that helps people, victims of like Hurricane Katrina and different things like that. This whole theme is, she's kind of the leading part of that. And then, so things you're going to cover probably would be what kind of medical tools did they use in the Civil War? What were the doctors and nurses of the Civil War? Like, what did they do for procedures? What were their jobs? How much training did they have to have, or did they not have any? What types of pain meds they used, or common diseases? What was the most frequent thing they saw as a killer? So that's kind of your summary there. This next one is more for people that are really interested in the North versus South thing. So, why were the North and South at war anyway? What is the root cause of this whole thing? Why was the North all about industry, and why was the South all about plantations and slavery, and what was the deal? What's the connection there? You're probably going to talk about soldier life on the battlefields, like what did they eat as soldiers, like what did they put in their backpacks, and then possibly talking about African American soldiers as well, and so what life was kind of like there. This is kind of the red versus the blue, or the or the blue versus the red type thing. So next one is Tales of Lincoln. In summary, this is obviously all about Lincoln. Any newspapers you can find. What was the northern people's opinion of him? What were the southern people's opinion? Did people from his side not like him at all? What was going on there? And this one talks about, it's one of my favorite ones. If you were Lincoln's best friend at his funeral, what kind of final thoughts would you say about him? And then the last one that's really important is, was war avoidable? What could we have stopped it? Could we have? I mean, were there some things like John Brown's raid? If that wouldn't have happened, could it have been stopped? So these are some of these predicting or hypothetical questions that you have to use some examples to try to help prove your point. Life at Home is all about the women and children. Did women actually benefit from the Civil War happening? I know it sounds weird, but did they benefit from it? So how did they benefit? Do you have examples of this? Because they really did. What types of jobs were women exposed to during that time? Like, how did the Civil War give them an opportunity to prove themselves? What was the deal there? And then how did the Civil War empower or cripple women? So you've got all your subtopics there, diaries and different things that you could find, pictures before and after the war with women and children, battles and strategies. This is all about the people that care about this, the battles. What side did what? Who had the advantage? What was going on here? How was the Civil War financially managed, funded? Was there a way to stop that? Some of your subtopics in here, you people that like building stuff, this is definitely yours. Battleships like the ironclads, 3D model maps, water weaponry, any types of air weapons that they had. What was going on there, and how did blockades work? Where was the strategy in that? And what were some key battles and victories? And you definitely want to talk about the battle, the bloody massacre at Appomattox. Appomattox was a huge, huge battle. You definitely want to cover that one. Last thing, you techie people, this was the most unique technology that not a lot of people talk about, such as like the telegraphs or the railroads, lots of stuff like that. So maybe some hot air balloons, some submarines, some of the things that kind of were forgotten about that. And then one of the last ones that people don't really think about is the photography. How was photography a big deal, and why was it important to document all this? How did that help us? So, and like I said, you got some of your subtopics right down here. So that's kind of that in a nutshell. We're going to go ahead and move on. This is step 2. You're going to do your group project plan, and you have to write your theme down once you chose it. You won't necessarily get the one you exactly want, but you'll get your at least second favorite possibly. This is where I get to choose this. I'll kind of let you guys pick your own first, and then I either agree or disagree and then move you around. So you can kind of read these here: your leader, your timekeeper, supply person, and organizer. So one thing to note here, if you don't have 4 people in your group total, then one of you will have to obviously double up on, maybe a leader and an organizer or something like that. So brainstorming. This is where you're going to write down all your ideas. So like if you could say like, we're going to make a Civil War trunk and put an iPad in the lid of it, or we're going to, obviously you'll have to come up with the materials there. I can't really get you that. But if you're able to do that, you can do something like that, Or, we're going to make a trifold, but it's going to be 3D, or we're going to cut holes in the bottom. There are going to be things running underneath it or whatever. This is where you're going to come up with your ideas there. Nothing is off limits here. Just make sure that it's accessible to you guys, like you're able to get those things, those materials. And then write those materials down in this area. These are materials that aren't at school, okay? And you can make a list, that is at school too, that's fine. And then the main goal, what are you trying to prove here? Like, what's your main goal? Like, I have kind of your main goal for me, but as a group, what do you really want to focus on? So that's the project plan, step number 2. Step number 3, obviously you'll take notes and a few other things. This is more of just your dream big, kind of what's going on here. You've got different tips on what you should do, the do's and don'ts. So instead of doing this, like make whatever you want, instead of that, try discussing and think with your group about what's realistic, what you want out of your project, what do you have access to, things like that. So and there's a couple other things. This is what I'm looking for verbally and physically, and then the role of your project. So this is like presentation day, what I'm looking for. Okay. Couple ideas here. Your presentation skills. This is bad. We've seen this. It looks terrible. It's not fun. And apparently we're thinking, oh, she's doing a presentation about her back and her rear end. But wait a minute. She's just reading from the slide. We don't want this. This is nasty, yucky. And this is what your people will look like 1 minute later after you have presented or into your presentation. We don't want this. We've all had this before. It's not fun, including me. The other thing right here, combine this, and you will get much better results. If you pointing to things, using your project as just a focal point and not for you to read off of, because if you read off of this, like if she were to turn her head and look away from her people and read off it, that tells me she knows nothing. So that's kind of how that works right there. The other thing with this is that you've got this guy over here. These are things you definitely want to do. Smile, eye contact. You want to look at your people. Clear voice, gestures, moving your hands, different things, pointing to things, making emphasis by holding your hands up. You got to dress up. That's also part of your grade as well. And good posture. Stand up straight. Okay, a few more things and we'll be done here. So the Civil War final project, you've got all of these different things, right? And we've talked about all of these. Your project mission, to reveal and expose how your theme changed the outcome of the Civil War and how it impacted life before, during, and after the Civil War. So in addition, it will also show how your project will show how the Union and the Confederacy populations interacted with each other, eventually leading to war. So all these different things up here. The project steps before the real work begins. We've talked about the brainstorming. We've gone through that. Creating your project plan. When I approve the project plan, you're good to go and you can start taking your notes. Materials and all that stuff here. Here are the do's and don'ts. You got to have 3 different aspects of your project, 3 different parts. You have to. So an example would be creating like a replica, a poster board, and then having a presentation. You could do that. That's fine. Here are your requirements right here. 2 full pages of notes at minimum. You'll probably have more. Sources cited on your notes. That means the footnotes as well. And we can go over that again, how to do that. 3 small projects or more. Your notes have to be neatly organized. You need to explain how both sides interact. And your project plan needs to be completed, approved by me, approved by teacher. And you need to use a minimum of 2 primary sources. And we'll go over that later in class. If you're going to do a full cut movie, you got to have at least 8 minutes minimum of footage time or more. And the reason that is because you've got 2 weeks to work on this, so that's a definite must. Here's how you'll be graded. Here is the rubric. Look at these. You got your requirements here: attractiveness, your theme responses, your originality, professionalism, and then the understanding of the theme. The bottom two, theme, how you respond to questions about your theme given from me and from your peers, and how well you understand the theme. Those are the largest point values there. And totaling, you're getting 121 points for this. So keep that in mind. Okay? The other thing, last thing, here's kind of the idea here. Here is today. Today is Friday right now. Okay? May 5th. May the 5th be with you. Just kidding. Revenge of the 5th. Revenge of the Sith. So from here on out, these are all going to be work days for notes. You get 3 days. Your notes are due on the 11th, and you start your project of May. So you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days to work on your project, full days, no notes. And then the 25th, for right now, is where your Civil War project will be presented. So please make sure that you dress up on this day. Again, the 25th of May. So keep that in mind. All right, until next time, guys, peace out. This is Mr. Grote, Social Studies, over and out.